Good afternoon. I'm Mike Healy, Chairman of the Public Safety Committee of Allegheny County, and we'll call the committee meeting of September 1st, 2021 to order. The first order of business is roll call.
Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mr. Dibble,
Here.
Mr. Decker,
Here.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Havey,
Here.
Mrs. Hopkins,
Here.
Mr. Crandall. 5 members present.
Quorum being present, we'll proceed with the approval of the minutes of August 4th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Dibble, second by Mr. Havey. Any discussion or corrections noted? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. And now our department heads will make their reports, and the first department head is Barb Kelly, Public Defender. Yeah.
Okay. I've submitted my report. It doesn't show anything terribly unusual, other than we're getting back to a more normal numbers than we had last year due to the pandemic. Anyone have any questions on my monthly report?
Any questions for Barb? Hearing none, anything you wish to point out?
The only other thing that I have is Attorney Carter and I have been invited to the magistrates' monthly meeting. It's happening on September 11th, and we intend to go and talk to the local magistrates, and we are going to initiate discussions about the operation and implementation of a centralized arraignment program. So hopefully you'll be hearing more about that in the near future.
Okay, thank you, Barb.
Thank you.
Next, Jeff Lucky, Emergency Management and Fire Director. Jeff is, both he and his assistant are out of town at a meeting, so you have a copy of his report enclosed. Any questions you have, you can contact him when he gets back or hold him for next month at next month's meeting. Next, we'll go to Keith Slepp, District Attorney's Office.
Afternoon, everybody. I'll just use a random one here.
And in his Keith's place today, we have Ian.
Thank you. So same as Barb, really, our report, nothing really remarkable about it. You're going to still see the year-to-date differences. That's, again, largely due to COVID, as everything else is, or as everything else seems to be with our reports this year, and will probably continue to be through the remainder of the year. Any questions about the report? No? Okay.
Questions? Anything you wish to highlight?
Not on the report. I would just comment on our request to fill form that was submitted. As everyone knows, Scott Cicerello is no longer with our office. He's now the undersheriff, so we need to fill our investigator position. That is a state-funded position. I think probably the one thing that will catch attention is that the amount budgeted for it this year is $15,000, and we're making that an annual salary position of $25,000 in the future, hopefully. The demands on that position are not what they used to be. They've increased greatly as a result of the discovery reform and bail reform to some extent. And quite frankly, our new undersheriff did such a tremendous job in that position that he showed us stuff that we didn't even know was possible in that position, and we hope to keep that momentum going. So,
Okay. So you don't plan for any other changes then?
I guess I don't know exactly what you might mean by that, but nothing else I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the questions in my mind was because of bail reform and the other changes in the state laws that that there might be a need for additional staffing in that.
That's something we've absolutely discussed and we'll need to continue to discuss in the future. I think what we're doing right now is just kind of a step-by-step approach, hopefully kind of getting somebody back in this role, the role that has existed, and then, expand from there once we get our feet back under us.
As part of your support staff, is more one of the bigger, you have a lot of
Absolutely,
demands
yeah.
on this position.
I could go on for an hour about everything that this role does for our office. It's a tremendous asset. A lot of things we couldn't do without it, quite frankly.
Okay. Mrs. Hopkins?
As long as we're discussing this, do you have any idea?
Sorry. Ian, do you have any idea on the amount of time that is going to be required by this position? It's still part-time, but just wondering.
It's part-time, but I'll tell you, our last guy made it more than full-time. There's a tremendous burden here. There's just no shortage. You could, I don't want to bring
Well,
Scott into it, but he could work day and night at this and never
Discovery
get caught
alone
up.
is.
Discovery alone will keep you going,
They've,
more time than you all ever have, so.
yeah.
So it's possible that this could become a full-time position or
Okay.
even more staff than what you're anticipating right now?
I think that's possible, yes. That's not what we're trying to do right now, I just
Right.
worry about kind of getting into that right
wanna
now, but
Get somebody
that's
else.
certainly a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to move this for further discussion?
Yes.
I will do that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Decker. Is there a second? Mr. Havy? All right, any further discussion? Mr. Ricky?
Your request states that it's 100% state funded. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Your request states it's 100% state funded. Can you ask for more, or do they cap out at 15,000?
No, I don't think it caps out at 15. I think we can ask for more. It's part of the aid to prosecution grant. I think we can ask for more. I'm not certain about that. I'm pretty sure about that, though. I can talk to Keith about that and let you know.
Seems like max it out then if it's state money, if you're gonna be using it.
Can't argue with that logic.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Jones? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carry.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thank you. Next is Stop DWI Coordinator Brian Perkins. Afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we? So you do have my report for last month. The victim impact panel was back up and running. We were out at the county jail, so thank you again to the Sheriff's Department for hosting us out there. It works pretty well, especially in this case with a smaller group. So we had 16, which was definitely more than I had been getting in the small groups that we'd been doing kind of during COVID stuff, but still a lot lower than where we were pre-pandemic. So if it picks back up and we start getting some bigger numbers, we might have to reevaluate things. But for right now, I think it works pretty well out there, being able to get people in. There's plenty of room. We took care of any technology, TV issues we might have had before we got there. So that was all going well. I did plan on having a panel there, and then as the COVID numbers started to change and upticks and stuff was changing, I went back to just, I'm going to bring in Ann Weaver from ACASA, and then I'll show my videos, and we'll keep it as brief as possible with that stuff and not expose anyone unnecessarily. So outside of that, Traffic Safety Board kept meeting, and I did meet with ACASA about getting our SAD conference going again this year. Schools are just now coming back into session, staff's showing up, so I got to reach out to them now and say, here's the plan. We're going to be trying to run the program. We do plan on trying to also make sure that it's something that we can stream out to all of the schools. So if for some reason the schools find themselves in a position where they don't want to send their kids to the program, but they want them to still be a part of it, We're going to try to be prepared to be able to stream that out. Potentially, it could actually open it up to more students, because normally the SAD conference, they'd bring a select group of kids from each school. And if we're able to stream it out and get it out to the schools, then, they could pump that into every classroom in the county if they really want to. So we'll see what happens. But that's the plan. We're going to try to get something going with it for sure.
Any questions for Brian? Anything else you wish to highlight?
Nope, that's it for me today.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Robert Starks, Probation Director. And let the minutes reflect that we've been joined by Chairman Crandall there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, Bob.
You have my report in front of you. Want to point out that I realized that we need to change our letterhead because we have a new supervisor, Jessica McKnight. I promoted her to the second supervisor position in the department, effective August 16th. So looking forward to her leadership in the department to help us out as we move forward. The other maybe glaring factor that looks out is that investigations ordered last month of 3 is probably an all-time record low for number of investigations since I've been at the department. And one of the reasons that I found out maybe why we're not getting a lot of work yet is that the courts have to wait 3 or 4 court sessions. If someone doesn't show up, a principal doesn't show up to court, they have to wait at least 3 or 4 before they can issue a warrant for their arrest to bring them into court. So I don't know if individuals aren't showing up to court. This is under the bail reform, and that's why courts are slow in kind of getting up to speed. But I did hear that from one of my officers that talked to the Wellsville, I think it was the Wellsville Village court clerk, that that's one of the problems the courts are running into is individuals not showing up, and they have to give them X number of opportunities.
Imagine that, huh?
I know.
You don't hold anybody accountable and they just don't show up.
That's right.
Yes.
So, and we did receive recognition from DCJS, OPCA on the DNA collection rate and the compliance with New York State Staff Development Standards for 2020. So that's a reflection of the good work that our department does. So.
Any questions for Bob on his report? Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, you have some transfer of funds here. You got
I do?
mhm.
Not the one? Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, that wasn't on my, didn't realize that was going to be presented today. Yes, that's, oops. Okay. So that money is in the STSJP budget, and we wanted to move some of it around because the Ready services, the mentoring services, we ran out of money for that program. But the Catholic Charities MST, there's more money in their budget that they're going to use this year. So they graciously allowed us to transfer that money so that we could keep the Ready mentoring services going longer. So that's the request. The money's already budgeted. It's just a transfer within the
Okay.
with that, yes.
And this is laid out in the MOE here, from account number A3147.447, probation juvenile contractual, to A3147.448, probation juvenile contractual. 25,000 is the amount, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. Mrs. Hopkins, seconded by Mr. Decker. Discussion? Yes,
Do we
Mr.
need
Decker.
to check on that? Because the title of both of those, the from account to the to account is the same. The numbers are different, but that'll have to be corrected when we come to vote on it.
Actually, those titles are correct. Those titles are a generic contractual title for those 447s and 448s. They're not specific to Ready or Catholic Charities. They are internally, we know what they're for, but in general, they're just called a contractual
So
account.
they're just a different line.
Yep, they're okay.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
And next we have Gilbert Green, Weights and Measures Director. Always a pleasure, Gilbert. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Got my monthly report. The one closed gas station, I finally was able to catch him open. It's Uncle Tom's Cabin in Centerville. He's having health and help issues. Can't find help. He wants to work. Seen a few signs around the county. And they also got shorts. I managed to get them scheduled yesterday, so fuel trucks are all ready for fall deliveries.
Okay. Any questions for Gilbert on his report? Okay. Anything else you wish to highlight, Gilbert?
I was going to wish the sheriff a happy birthday, but I guess I won't.
All right, thank you. Next, Sheriff Rick Whitney. Is it today, Rick?
Good afternoon. It's always hard to follow Gilbert. I've submitted my report if you have any questions.
Any questions for the sheriff on his report? Guess not.
Okay, I have one request to fill for a corrections officer position. We had a corrections officer that resigned. It has been signed by the county administrator and the personnel officer, so.
I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Decker and Mr. Havey. All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. And that was to keep up minimum staffing requirements by the state.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you. Anything else you wish to highlight there, Sheriff?
Not really. We did go to Endicott there for that seminar, but even the lawyers are as cloudy on most of those things as we are, so they didn't have a lot of answers other than wait and see what happens, and we'll try to figure out what they mean by all this stuff, but
Imagine that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else for the sheriff,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Any old business? Any new business? Anything for the good of the order? Hearing
Mr.
none.
Chairman, if there's no further business to come before the committee, I move we adjourn.
We have a motion for adjournment by Mr. Decker. Is there a second? Mr. Dibble. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that? Carried. We're adjourned. Thank you.